we were on, we've had a number of street tests which have been very successful. So the mobile unit has been visiting different parts of Leicester and led by Rajiv, it's been to Rushford Drive, Kitchener Road, St Barnabas Road, and Wickham Road, and tested a number of people in the local community. Next Tuesday, we're going to be out on Tennis Court Drive. So if you live near there, then of course we'll be delighted to see you. Also, every Wednesday, you can have a free diabetes test at the Silver Star headquarters at 201 Uppingham Road between 1 and 5 p.m. So if you want to come in regularly and check your sugar levels, you can do that there. Our guest speaker today is the very distinguished Natalie Kollmeier. She's a medical doctor and a researcher with global clinical experience, having worked in renowned institutions such as the Mayo Clinic in America, the NHS here in the UK, the National Hospital in Sri Lanka, and the General Hospital in Tianjin in China. She currently leads her own private practice, Sanare Wellness Life, and is a pioneer in natural and herbal treatments for chronic conditions. Dr. Kollmeier is also a prominent figure in the wellness sector, endorsing several major brands such as Aquafresh, Akbar Brothers, and Mobitel. But the brand we're endorsing today is Dr. Kollmeier herself, who's joining us from Colombo. So a very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Diabetes Chai Chat. The format of this is very simple. You chat to us for about 10 minutes or so, and then there will be questions. But the only people who can ask a question are those who are participating in the Chai Chat on this Zoom call, not those who are on the YouTube channel. So a warm welcome to you, Dr. Kollmeier. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for having me. I'm absolutely honored. So diabetes is a problem in the world. It's one of the biggest issues that we have in the health sector. When you say diabetes, it means that your glycemic levels are above average. So the way I look at it, fasting blood sugar is normally more than 120, and random blood sugar is more than 150. I know that those ranges tend to differ from country to country and doctor to doctor, but those are my values that I look at. So if your glycemic levels are too high, we call the person diabetic. And then now one of the biggest problems that diabetic people go through or see in their life is obesity. And you see how obesity correlates quite a bit with diabetes. So when you take obesity, we have a BMI structure that we follow in the health sector. That is, according to your height, you look at your weight. And if that is above levels, you can take it even on Google and check your height and weight, and you can check your BMI levels. And if you reached obesity, the obese levels, then there is a problem. And even my PhD, the thesis I wrote was obesity and its correlation to cognitive aging. So you do see how obesity has, reacted very much in most of the chronic diseases you see in the world. So we'll start with diabetes. Now, when you talk about weight, I'm not just talking about your body weight, water, which includes your water weight. It is also your fat, your muscle mass, all of that combines into your weight. So we are not talking about that. We're talking about your fat levels. And um, when a person wants to lose weight, people think that calories in minus calories out is the way to go. But you can't look at calories. I don't look at calories because the calories that you find in maybe a chicken burger versus an avocado might be the same. But if you take the nutrition panel, it's very different. So I don't really endorse calorie counting. Therefore, I don't endorse calorie restriction, because we know that diabetes is a lifestyle disease. And when you talk about lifestyle diseases, most people, when they look at their diet chart, they try to count the number of calories they eat for the day. That is something I see very commonly. And they think, okay, if I eat less calories for the day, that way I will lose weight. But that is surely not the way to go with diabetes. So the biggest culprit in the diabetic world is insulin, right? So type 1, type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is where you don't produce proper insulin. Either it's insufficient or the quality of insulin you produce is not enough. The beta cells in the person's body is, either dead or non-functioning. But if you take type 2 diabetes, it's different. Type 2 diabetes means that you are overeating your sugar level. So when the glucose level goes high, you have to produce more insulin, which causes a problem in your body, and the person becomes hyperglycemic. So when you come into the calorie problem in a person's diet, the amount of calories you eat is not going to help with the insulin level. So this is where things like fasting comes into play. Especially, I do endorse intermittent fasting in metabolic diseases. Diabetes is also a metabolic disease, and a person needs to be on a fast for at least 18 hours when they have a particular metabolic disease. So why is that important? Because the level of insulin you produce in your body, you restrict it to only a period of during the day. So 18 hours fasting, 16 hours of an eating window. And for me, that is what I have seen in most people, which helps in their weight reduction as well. So the biggest culprit that we have to look at here is not the glucose levels, it's the insulin level. So some people, they come and tell me, doctor, I count the number of calories I eat. Some people come and tell me I have about 6 to 8 small meals during the day. And is that going to help me? No, it's not. Because what we have to look at is, it doesn't matter how small your meal is. If you are producing insulin constantly during the day, then you're going to have a problem. So for people who are on diets where they snack, or they eat maybe every 2-3 hours, or they are on small meals within the day, I don't think that is what a person should be doing. You can maybe have a meal which fills you up better, but you restrict your eating window. So why I endorse the 18-hour fast with a 6-hour eating window for people with metabolic disease is because you will only have a 6-hour window where you produce the insulin. And for 18 hours, your body is at rest. And that is what I have found so far to be effective with diabetes. That being said, during your eating window, you also have to look at the fact that your meals need to have certain levels of nutrition. One thing that is going to help people very much is vitamin D3. If they're on high doses of vitamin D3, that is also going to be helpful. If they're on magnesium, that is going to be very helpful, because magnesium deficiency can also cause the quality of insulin produced to be insufficient. So vitamin D3, magnesium, and zinc, those are three supplements that will help in weight loss, as well as bringing your glycemic levels down. So with those supplementations, if the person can be on a good fast at least 5 times a week, which is an 18-hour window for a fast, that will be very effective to bring glycemic levels down by maybe 10 to 20 units within the first 3 months. And then with that, you can you can actually start working on the diabetic reversal program. So that is why if you're a person who has weight as an issue, you need to first work on that before you start working on your glycemic levels. So when the weight starts reducing, you will always see that your glycemic levels will normalize.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for your presentation. I was taken a bit aback because normally people go on beyond their 10 minutes, but you've been very good, Dr. Goldmeyer. Thank you very much. I'm going to start with a question about the reversal. Those of us with diabetes get used to having metformin and glycoside and all these other things that we take. Is it possible to reverse? Is it really possible to completely reverse? Or can you lapse back after a period of time? What is the shortest and the longest period that you have come across in your experience for reversal?
So diabetes is a lifestyle disease. So yes, of course, if you don't follow the proper protocol over a period of time, yes, you can relapse. Just because a person's diabetes is reversed today doesn't mean that they cannot get higher sugar levels maybe in about 6 months. If their cortisol levels are high, if their lifestyle is bad, yes, it can come back. So it is you have to maintain it. It's a lifelong maintenance process that you have to go through. But the shortest span that I have taken is about 8 to 10 weeks. But that case was different. It was, I think it was a person who had started metformin for about a good 6 months period. So it was a shorter case. But I think the longest I have taken so far is I, it just maybe over 1.5 years, because especially if a person is injecting insulin, then the process is longer. If kidney disease, if heart disease, if they have other side effects, or the medication has caused or the disease has caused, then the time that takes is longer. But definitely diabetes is reversible. Keith, I'm sorry. I think you've muted.
One question just come through on the emails from someone who's watching you on YouTube, is the issue of supplements. Someone is asking, how do we know which are the best supplements to use? Some people say Kerala juice. Kerala juice is very good for you every morning. Other people say you should have turmeric or you should have garlic. How do we know with this massive amount of information? There's more information now than any time before on diabetes. The question one of our members wants to know is, how do we choose? How do we know?
Definitely, I don't endorse somebody Googling something and then consuming it, especially over a long period of time. But I really think that is something you need to ask your healthcare professional before you start on it. And um, you know, but things like there are a lot of herbal supplements that we endorse. I do endorse quite a bit of herbal supplements. But you mentioned Caravilla juice. Caravilla is good to reduce diabetes. It's very good to reduce cholesterol, but it's not definitely you cannot consume it daily, and definitely you cannot consume it over a long period of time. So that question is a little difficult to answer, to a mass market. But I would prefer if you speak to a healthcare professional before consuming something regularly.
Mm. We have another question here specifically about apple cider vinegar. I know that you've mentioned we should consult our health providers over the supplements, but there's a specific question that's come through about apple cider vinegar. Is this something that can be taken, even though you don't endorse products? Is this a substance that can be taken, and when should it be taken?
So yes, apple cider vinegar is something that you can take maybe 3 times a week. And apple cider vinegar should always be mixed with lemon and ginger. So if you can take maybe a 2-inch slice of lemon and you squeeze it, you take about a 1/4 inch of ginger and you mash it and you mix it with your apple cider vinegar. That's about 1 tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and you consume it maybe 3 times a day. Sorry, 3 times a week. That can be consumed even over a long period of time.
Mm. Thank you. Another question has come through about fruits. We are often told that the best thing to do is eat fruits, but we're also told that fruits contain a great deal of sugar. This is someone asking from Bristol in the west of England. How do we know which fruits we should eat? She's made reference to these sleeves that we produce on social media saying what you should and shouldn't eat. For example, apples are clearly better than mangoes, but you see a lot of members of the Asian community eating mangoes, especially during the mango season. Should we eat mangoes at all, or should we stick to apples?
So yes, you can eat your fruits, but don't drink your fruit. You Because if you drink your fruit, you lose all the fiber. So the fiber content is very important because it's the fiber that catches onto the glucose and the fructose components of our food items. So if you lose your fiber, you will release a lot of sugar into your bloodstream at once. But if you eat your fruit, the fiber will help you to release the glucose slowly into the system. So you don't need so much of insulin to be given into the body. So eat your fruits, don't drink it. But if your sugar levels are uncontrollable, even on medication, then I would suggest please stay off of mangoes, papaya, very high fructose fruit until your sugar levels are controllable. But once it's controllable, it's okay. The Asian countries, we do have mangoes, but we also have cinnamon. So we can have maybe a cinnamon tea or some dill seeds. Dill seeds also help us to help bring the sugar levels down. So if you do feel that your sugar levels are too high, just have 1 teaspoon of cinnamon mixed in warm water and drink it after your fruit. So eat your fruits, please don't drink it.
A final question that's come through from the YouTube live stream is on the question of last meal. When should be the last meal of the day? Some people say 6, other people say 9. Again, with our community, we tend to eat quite late. When do you think the last meal should be?
Okay, so all of us, we do have a biological clock, and all our organs work at a very particular time. Um, and if you look at ancient times, when the sun goes down, people stop eating. I think one of the biggest problems our civilization has is we have electricity. So we don't really go according to our body clock. But what I normally say is I would really like somebody to have their last meal by 6 o'clock. But if it's extremely difficult, no problem, but stop by or before 7:30, because after 8 we don't have gastric juices in our body because our abdominal walls, our pancreas, our liver does not function after 8 o'clock. So any thing that we eat after that, we will not be digesting it till the next day. So there is a higher chance that your food ferments and it does not digest.
Guys, thank you for that clarity. You're the first person. I've asked that question to many people, and I've heard it being mentioned in all the editions of this program. But you have given us an absolutely clear answer. There is actually a chocolate in the UK called After Eights, of all things, which obviously we won't eat anymore. So you're making very clear: don't eat after 8,
Yes, that's right.
and eat again the next morning at what time? 8 to
I'm a
8.
person who, yes, I'm a person who believes that you need to skip your breakfast. And I know a lot of people tell me, no, they say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But if you do a small research and find out, um, the people who actually brought that slogan out was a cereal company that wanted to sell their products. It's not something that the medical professionals brought out. So something that we need to understand is because our liver already produces enough sugar as we wake up. We don't have to have a very heavy meal to give us energy. So if a person can eat after 10:30 or 11 in the morning, that would be very helpful because all our gastric juices start emitting only at that time. So I say this very confidently. You can eat anything you like between 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock. You're not going to have any metabolic problem because all your gastric juices, your pancreas, your liver, even your kidneys function exceptionally well during that period of time. So have your largest meal at that time. But I would prefer people not eating before 10:30 in the morning.
Wonderful. Dr. Kolmaya, thank you so much for joining us here today. We know you are running a very impressive wellness center in Sri Lanka, Wingara, which is very famous all over the world. And to have you join us for this half hour has been a great experience. I just want to check that there's no participants who have other questions. I think you've covered everything, as well as the questions that have come through on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep up the good work, and thank you for the clarity of your answers. You've actually, it's now here 6:30, so I'll make sure that I eat before 8 o'clock.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope I've been great help to everybody who has been listening.
You have been. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're welcome to stay. We have the news headlines, but I know you're busy. You're running a whole wellness center in Colombo in Sri Lanka. So if you have to go, we understand that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let us go from Colombo in Sri Lanka to God's country, Leicester in the UK, and ask Rajiv if he will give us the news headlines of the week. What are the top 3 news headlines, Rajiv?
News headlines of the week. The first news: the number 1 breakfast for diabetes, according to dietitians. For people with diabetes, best breakfast to recommend is overnight chia oats. In addition to being delicious, these overnight chia oats are also packed with fiber, healthy fat, and protein. That combination makes them slow digesting, which is exactly what you want when managing your blood sugar. The next headline: how your nails could be warning you about chronic type 2 diabetes. Some individuals with diabetes may notice their nails adopting a yellowish shade. Often this coloring has to do with the breakdown of sugar and its effect on the collagen in nails. This kind of yellowing is not harmful. It doesn't need to be treated. And in certain cases, yellowing can be a sign of nail infection. The next headline: NHS says 2 common herbs could cut Alzheimer's and diabetes risk. Experts may now have found a way of reducing inflammation in the brain, which is a non-trigger for Alzheimer's, using a compound found in common kitchen herbs, rosemary and sage. This compound soothes inflammation elsewhere in the body, which could make it beneficial for treating various conditions such as arthritis, heart disease, and diabetes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's getting up to 6:30. Thank you so much for joining us at the Chai Chat. listening to the excellent contribution of Dr. Kolmaya, Dr. Natalie Kolmaya from Colombo. As you know, the street bus, the MDU, is going to be in Tennis Court Drive next week. You can have your free diabetes test every Wednesday at the centre. So please come along and have your tests there. In the meantime, thank you for joining us. Can I wish you all a very pleasant evening? The sun is still out, so this is good news. We will speak to you very soon, and we will hopefully have another program in the near future. Thank you for joining us. Good evening, everyone.